In the previous video, we discussed how to add customizer settings, controls, and sections, and different panels to your WordPress theme in the customizer section. Uh, how on the backend. Now, in this video, we're going to discuss about how to display those controls and how to make it function on the front end. So the first thing we discussed was the site title and tagline, wherein we used two functions. First function was add control function to go ahead and add controls, basically create controls inside of the title tagline, which means inside of the site identity is this part. Okay, and this was basically to hide tagline, and that was the name that we had given hide tagline over here, if you remember this one. Okay, and we had used the add setting function to go ahead and add whatever changes the user makes over here, whatever input user selects and publishes. All that data goes onto the database using the add setting function, and I just want to show you where does that data go in. So if you go to the WordPress database into your WP options table, inside of that you need to search for theme mods. So themes, a theme underscore mods underscore and the name of your theme. So you need to search for this option name. This will be option name, and the option value is basically an array. Okay, so if you click on that, you can see that Cornova hide tagline. Okay, so this is the ID basically. Cornova hide tagline, and the value of this by default is 0, but the moment user selects something over here, the value would change. So I can show that to you. So for now, if I don't select it, if I deselect it, and then if I check it over here, refresh it, you can notice that the ID value of the value of the ID Cornova hide tagline is I is equal to 0. Okay, but the moment I go ahead and check this option and publish it, refresh it, now if I check it, the value has changed to 1, which just means set to true. So the default value was set to 0, which is why it was showing as 0 earlier, but the moment the user selects to this checkbox saying that it's hide tagline, okay, let's inspect element. Okay, so the moment user selects that, just one moment. Yeah, so the moment selects that, the value changes to 1, okay, and that's when this Cornova sanitize checkbox function will be called to sanitize this value before it's inserted into database. Okay, and edit theme option is basically telling that it needs to be for the under the site identity. Okay, and to display this online, for this to function on the front end, okay, what we need to do is we need to go on to our header.php. Okay, and over here we are using our custom function, which is scan site branding, and inside of this if we check, okay, so we are checking if this function doesn't exist, then let's define the function, and site title is equal to site logo, and site logo is equal to get custom logo. This is to display the logo basically. Then the site title is equal to get blog info name, site tagline is equal to this. So what we are actually interested in this function to talk about this hide tagline. So we are creating a variable hide tagline, and we are getting the value of the Canis hide tagline ID, and that's the ID that we had defined over here. I'm sorry, I think I'm gone to a different file altogether. Just one moment. Right. So this was the function. Okay, cool. So Cornova hide tagline was the ID that we had defined over here. Okay, so this value was inserted into the database over here, and we're just retrieving this value of Cornova height tagline ID. Okay, so over here we are saying get theme mod, get the value of the theme mod with the ID this. So this will be equal to 1 basically over here. Okay, and when we scroll down, um, yeah, so over here, so once we have this value, this height tagline value is equal to 1, then we are also defining a variable called description desk class. Okay, and we are checking if the height tagline is true or not. So if it was 0, then this would have been false, which means the description class value will be false. But because once the user selects this option over here, height tagline, okay, then the value of the get theme mod and this ID basically becomes 1. So when this becomes true, then the description class will be equal to screen reader text. And over here, inside of the site description, where we are echoing the description class, which is this, once this becomes true, description class will be equal to screen reader text, and that's what will be displayed over here. Okay, which means a class name screen reader text will be added over here. And the job of that class is basically, if you go onto yours, if you go into my CSS file, you will notice that it's saying position absolute, height is equal to 1 pixel, width is equal to 1 pixel, overflow hidden. So which means this is going to hide uh, the tagline. Okay, so if you notice, this was my tagline, but when I check this gets hidden. How it gets hidden, as I've just discussed, let's inspect element. Okay, sorry, we will do an inspect element of this title tagline. Okay, notice what happens over here. This is the piece of code that's coming from this function, which is p class site description blog info description. That's what we have here. We have blog info description is this, site description is the name of the class, which is already there. There'll be one more class added to this the moment user selects this, checks this. If you notice, okay, so it's gone. It's gone. It's hidden, but you can understand that that's been added over there. So I can just show that to you. You can see site title, and next to it screen reader text has been added. And once this is added, you can see that this class has been applied, and that's why it's not showing over there. Okay, so that's just to show you how to get this working on the front end. Okay, so on the front end, basically we have to call a custom function wherein we get the value of the Cornova height tagline, which is the ID that we had defined using add setting function, and we're checking if this is true. If it is true, then go ahead and add the class name screen reader text into the site description, and go ahead and make that element hidden when this class gets added. Okay, now next thing was sidebar position. Okay, so we used 3 functions: add control, add setting, add section. We discussed earlier that the add control creates the control for the sidebar position. So inside of general, so this control is created by add control. This control is added by add section over here, and then add setting function is basically going to insert the value that is the user selects over here into the database with the ID name Cornova sidebar position. And if you notice, you go into database under the WP options on the name of theme mods Cornova. Okay, you can see that this is the ID, and the value currently is showing as left. So Cornova sidebar position, and it's showing as left. Cornova sidebar position is the name of the ID, and left is selected, hence the value is showing as left. If you select right, publish it, refresh it, then check it, you can see that the Cornova sidebar position ID is showing as right. The value is right. Okay, cool. So that's how this works. Now I need to get this going on the front end. So in order for us to do that, since this is all going on the basically the sidebar, so let's go ahead and check it, what function we have available for that. Okay, so we have a Cornova secondary classes. This is a function that we have defined into our custom functions, and the job of this function is basically to add the classes, okay, to all templates. Okay, so what this is going to do is this is going to check this sidebar position first. So we're creating a variable just like we did earlier. We are using the function getThemeModel like we did earlier. We are using the ID name Cornova sidebar position, which is the same ID that we have used in the add setting, which is responsible for feeding the data into the database. We are getting the value of this. So once we have the value, sidebar position will have the value of either left, right, or would be the no sidebar. So it'll be having either of these values. And then we are using foundation classes, and we are going to go ahead and at this position check that if the sidebar position is equal to left, then go ahead and add this class basically. Okay, so this class is basically responsible for displaying the sidebar on the left. Okay, and then we're going to echo out the class names. Okay, there are other class names that are being echoed, but what we are interested in is basically this class: large order, medium order, small order. Okay, all of this class will be displayed in case if this sidebar position value is left. Similarly, we have the Cornova primary classes function, which is a custom function, and this is going to get the value of the Cornova sidebar position ID like we have got it here. Okay, and if it's right, okay, then in fact over here, in case the value is left, then these set of classes will be echoed out here. If it is right, then it'll be empty, and if it is no sidebar, then this set of classes will be echoed out over here. So depending on what value we get from the database, the classes will be echoed out, and these classes are responsible for displaying the or changing the alignment of the sidebar, making it either left or right, or no sidebar, or hiding it, which means. Okay, so that's what is going on, and if you check, these classes are called in. So this Cornova primary class, which is a custom function to display the classes, called into the index.php over here. Okay, so which will go ahead and make sure that the sidebar position is aligned, so it'll return the type of classes based on the value the user has selected in the sidebar position. Okay, and the Cornova secondary class function is called inside of the sidebar template. Okay, cool. So that's that, and then the next would be the footer copyright text, which is over here, this one. Okay, so again, we have defined three functions: add control, add setting, add section. Okay, the add setting is going to add the data that the user has entered over here. First, we'll get it sanitized using this sanitize text field function, and then this data will be inserted with the ID Cornova copyright text. So if you notice, currently the value is SD, and so the value of this particular ID you can see in the database Cornova copyright text, and the value showing is SD, and that's the value that the user, which is me, have stored over here. Okay, so add setting is going to insert this data, whatever the user entered into the database. Default is empty. Okay, and let's see how we can display that on the front end. So this is basically for the footer, which means over here. So to display it, In the front end, we need to go to footer.php. Inside of that, we're going to call a custom function which is Cornova copyright text, and let's see what's going on in this function. So as you can see inside of this function, the first thing we're doing is we are setting a variable called theme URI, which is the site URI of the author. Then we are taking a variable called default. We're using sprintf function, which is going to take the format, which is this. Okay, inside of the format is the %$1 by $2 so it's going to escape the HTML, and this is the slug domain of the theme. Okay, so 1s is going to be replaced by Cornova, which is the site, the theme name, and the $2 will be replaced by the this a tag, which will be the link for the with the author name, link of the author name. Okay, and then we have used this theme URI inside of the href for the author. Okay, and then we are using creating a variable copyright text. We are getting the value of the theme mod, get theme mod, Cornova copyright text. Okay, and it's going to get us the value from the database. So currently it's showing us SD. So that's the value will be returned by the copyright text, and so SD will be returned in this situation, and this SD will be echoed out using this custom function, because that's the job of this function, is to return whatever is inside of the copyright text. Just in case, the very first time when the user has not entered anything inside this, then the default value will be echoed out over here, and inside of the default we have Cornova by and the author name over here. Okay, but in case if the user has saved something over here, and then even if he goes ahead and deletes it and publish it, then the default will not be returned over here, because you can see that nothing is returned over here. Ideally it should have given me the default value, which is Cornova by the author name, but it's not giving me that. Is because the moment Cornova copyright text data is created in the database, as you can see that the value is empty, it will not give me the value. Okay, all right, so let's refresh it. So currently the value is empty. So in case once this value gets created in the database, then even though the user doesn't enter anything or has deleted something over here, then the default value will not be returned. Okay, so that is why it is not showing anything over here. Okay, cool. Now next is, so I think that's about it. If you have any questions, you can always leave a comment and I'll be happy to answer them. All right, take care guys, see ya.